sometimes black people, we just don't catch a break at all. Look, I enjoy horror movies. This is the whole reason why I give you this whole month of reviewing horror movies. But let's keep it a buck with y'all. Ain't that many black horror movies. Now, don't get me wrong, within the past 8 or so years, we have had a surge of black horror movies come out by black directors. Look at Jordan Peele with Get Out, the phenomenal success that had, along with follow-ups like Us and Nope. But also, not just that, just this year alone, Ryan Coogler brought us Sinners, which was just a cultural phenomenon to the point where I think it's my movie of the year of 2025 so far, and we ain't got that much time left. Sinners really changed the game, and by the way, if you guys have not seen my Sinners review, make sure you guys check that out as well. But other than like the past 8 years, stuff like that, back then, there weren't too many black horror movies. Black horror movies were either very silly or they were too low budget enough that they were not even getting the attention of the mainstream media. Now, there were some black horror movies, especially in the blaxploitation era. Back during the blaxploitation era, we had movies like Blackula, which is our Black Dracula. I remember watching and enjoying that one. JD's Revenge, another ghost type of movie of possession and stuff like that. And Sugar Hill, dealing with zombies and all that kind of stuff like that also. We had these kind of movies, but they were in the blaxploitation era, and I know nobody was really trying to check for us like that. Even in the 90s, we had the rise of Candyman, and we remember how popular Candyman was, and we was really loving Candyman, even though Candyman was really hunting down the wrong people. Having black horror movies, we just didn't have that, but also even seeing us in horror movies, when we seen ourselves in horror movies, they only meant one thing. We was going to die within the first 2 acts of the movie. Tops.
Oh no, Jada's in the beginning. Black folk always get killed early in these things. There goes Jada.
Entering Rusty Cunliffe. You may know this light-skinned brother from the movie Sprung back in the mid-90s, where it was him, Tisha Campbell, Paula J. Parker, Joe Torre. But he's also a director. In 1995, he took his skills to make a horror movie for black people, about black people. And that horror movie is Tales from the Hood. Now, I know it sounds like a little spoof off of Tales from the Crypt because it was. This movie is a cult classic and it still holds up with the weight of it today. We're not counting the sequels. We had an all-star of black talent that was very popular at that time in this movie, and a good amount of them were in Sprung with Rusty. Now, Rusty wasn't going to just give us no slasher that would be chasing black people around with no aliens or no ghosts or no demons encountering black people. Because look, I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. Not to sound this way, we're not going to be in them situations too often.
But hold on, he telling us to go back, bro.
He is.
Oh, well.
Yeah, go ahead and
turn this all around. Boy, get your dumb ass out of here before you get jumped.
A crazy person chasing around us with a knife, bro. We don't got time to sit there and not follow the signs like I was talking about in Halloween too. Like, we just want to be in that situation. Aliens, ghosts, something like that. No, we don't got time to play with that kind of stuff. Realistically, to us, we're not going to be in those situations. But he asked the question, what does scare black people? Police brutality, domestic violence, racism, gang violence, those kind of things that really scare the fuck out of us. So Rusty and his co-writer Darren Scott had this idea of coming up with some type of horror movie that deals with social issues.
And when Rusty first said we should make these about social issues, I was like, what? Entertainment, it's a horror thing. And then the more I thought of it, I realized he was right, and that's what's made the project special all these years.
But instead of having just one movie, it'll be an anthology type movie with an overarching narrative. So how good was this idea? How was one of the greatest black horror movies of all time? Does it still hold up today? Well, let's run it back and find this thing out. The film starts off with 3 guys walking up to this funeral home. Now, the 3 guys are Stack, not that Stack, played by Joe Torre. He has a brother named Guy Torre because nobody says, hey, it's Joe Torre, that's Guy Torre's brother. Nobody says it like that. Ball, played by DeAndre Bonds. And this is before his ass-kicking days as Stacy, and clearly didn't get the LA dress code right here. Like, bro, what is the whole woman, what is you wearing with the Kango cap? And Bulldog, played by the black villain and everything, Samuel Monroe Jr., who has never played anything good in his career. That might tell you something. The 3 gangbangers heard about a snowfall happening at this funeral home, but it ain't Christmas. As they go knock on the door, the funeral director answers, and it turns out his name is Mr. Sims. It's played by Clarence Williams III, being very, very creepy. I'll be honest with y'all. I don't need the drugs that bad. That energy right there tells me, don't need it. You can have it. I'll find something else. Stack had the same idea, but he ran and knocked himself out. Cause this has to be a bad idea, because what other drug dealer would leave thousands of dollars of product just in the alleyway like that? Like, I'm automatically think I'm gonna be set up. Sims says he found the drugs in the alley and says that they are deep in the building. But as he goes into the building, he is starting to, we're in the funeral home, he starts showing off different bodies, and we're introduced to our first body. And of course, Ball asks,
cool. Hey, so what happened to him?
and then we get our first story.
I'll tell you about old Clarence here along the way. Unless, of course, you're scared.
Story number 1, Road Cop Revelation. We found the story of this rookie cop, this rookie black cop named Clarence, who was learning the ropes from obviously the worst teachers known on the force. A traffic stop sees the 2 cops harassing this black man, and as Clarence and his partner get out, who happens to be a white guy, he's asked to run the license. He finds out that this man, his name is Martin Morehouse, who's played by Tom Wright. He's a black city councilman and activist and wants to get bad cops off the force.
This man is Martin Morehouse!
Well, all the white cops knew who he was, Clarence. You ain't know, bruh? During this assault on Martin Morehouse, Strange Fruit plays on Billie Holiday. For those who don't know the song Strange Fruit, Billie Holiday is a song about lynchings, and it's a very powerful but very disturbing song as well. He tries to help, but it's 3-on-1, and then he is forced away as the cops make a lie and say they're going to take Martin Morehouse to the hospital. Clarence's partner tells him that you don't snitch on a cop, there's the blue wall that goes up.
Those assholes are cops. Who the fuck are you to judge them?
Haven't heard that before. Well, surprise, surprise, the cops don't take Martin Morehouse to the hospital, where they sit there and they kill him by staging to make it seem like he had a drug overdose and drove off the road. Black cops didn't know about white cops goes back decades ago, because when blacks were allowed to be on the police force, they weren't allowed to arrest white people or do anything against any white patrons at all, only towards their color of people. They couldn't arrest or do any of their tasks necessary to do that a cop is supposed to do. And Rusty Cutler's father was a police officer who gave him some insight and something he had to experience as he was a police officer. And fun fact, I have a lot of friends also that have fathers as police officers, and guess what? I'm one of them also. I have a father as a police officer, so I've heard these stories plenty of times. A year later, Clarence is down bad, drinking and feeling the guilt of the death of Martin Morehouse and how they covered it up, making him seem like he was a bad man or a criminal or even a hypocrite. But then he starts hearing Martin Morehouse's voice saying, "Bring them to me," and getting visions of Martin Morehouse saying, "The cops that killed him, bring them all to me." Clarence brings the cops to the cemetery so they can go pay their respects to Martin Morehouse. But Strom got a better idea.
I won't piss on his grave.
Yeah, I don't think I would do that if I was you. Strong was Officer Billy to come join in the fun, even though he clearly does not want to. But you know what? You've been getting bullied all this time, Billy, kissing ass. Why don't you finish it off the job? Billy goes to piss, and a zombie Martin Morehouse reaches up and grabs him, bangs his head against the tombstone, pulls him down, and rips his heart out of his chest and leaves him in the coffin. And we get a full-on-fledged Martin Morehouse just holding Officer Billy's heart. Yep. Time to go. But the cops are escaping their car, so Martin Morehouse is just always right behind them and had one of the jump scares that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Help our back. Ah!
The car crashes and Martin Morehouse pulls Strom up and pulls his hair clean off. The last officer runs out, shoots the car, and explodes, thinking we killed Martin Morehouse again. But he's clearly in disarray as he screams as he sees Martin Morehouse's moral saying that, "Hey, I killed you." Right behind him is zombie Martin Morehouse, and he picks him up, he sends him to a wall, and it takes all these dirty syringes and starts stabbing the officer with them until one goes into his mouth and has one of the most brutal kills in this movie of him disintegrating into like this acid type thing and going and turning into graffiti. That's crazy. Clarence asks Morehouse, did he get what he wanted? But he say, "Where were you at, brother?" As he picks him up and he drops him, and he's in a mental institution. And he's being blamed for the murders of the 3 cops.
Final maniac. Cop killer. 3 in one night.
Really? Did y'all not see the bodies of these cops and y'all gonna blame this dude on them? And there ain't no way y'all identified the 3rd one. As we move deeper into the funeral home, Mr. shows another coffin, but this one is we don't even really get to see. We don't even really get to see what's in this casket. But then we get into our next story. Story number 2: Boys Do Get Bruised. And this is one of my favorite stories. This is my favorite story from the whole anthology. We found this little boy from Soul Food whose name was Brandon Hammond. Listen, black people That's the boy from Soul Food, okay? His name is Walter in this, and also, hey, the director Rusty Cundiff is in this story. Now, I know he got the whole style of that 90s look like I don't match, but I do look. But Walter's afraid that there's this monster that comes in his room at night, and we can hear the growls and stuff like that, and he's scared of this monster. And actually, the growls and silhouette is very, very intimidating. But we don't know who the monster is yet. On the first day of school, at his new school, he gets surrounded by kids and get his ass beat. I mean, for no reason at all.
Fight back, nigga! Fight back, nigga!
The nurse in the office, who's played by Takina Crystal Keeman, y'all may know her from A Living Color, or Raven's mom from That's So Raven, discovers a bruise on Walter's face and says that did not come from the recent ass kicking. And Walter said that came from the monster. Now, like I said, the monster was made ambiguous, so we don't necessarily know what the monster is, what the monster looks like. We hear the growls, and we can hear like this hand coming through the door. Like we see there's some kind of monster there, but we don't know what it is. Walter starts to draw the monsters on paper so he can cope, and so he can destroy it, so he can cope with his fears. But there's a power behind it that Walter did not know he had. That when he draws a picture of his bully, he takes the paper and crumbles it up, and we hear screams. And we find out that the bully fell down steps and broke every bone in his body. Good Lord, Walter! So we see Scotty from The Whispers.
Love is where you find it. Put your heart inside it.
Out there and gives his explanation.
Boy must have had weak bones.
He needs some milk.
Mr. Garvey, who's played by Rusty, goes to Walter's house where he meets Sissy, played by Paula J. Parker, who y'all remember from Friday, or even Trudy from the Proud Family. Yep, she was in Sprunk too. As she opened the door, still somewhat wet, she wanted a taste of this man.
Hey, can I holler? Can I holler at you? Can I holler at you? Can I holler at you? What's wrong with you?
Mr. Garvey brings up the monster, and then automatically the mama gets upset. You automatically probably think that she could be the monster by the way she calls Walter down. We hear a car pulling up, and then we get a man coming in the house. His name is Carl. Carl is played by David Alan Grier. David Alan Grier has been a lot of stuff. David Alan Grier is a legend, but we mostly know David Alan Grier from comedy stuff. David Alan Grier has, especially for being on A Living Color, doing the comedy stuff on there, doing the comedy stuff as Leon Lonnie Love on Martin, and even being in different movies like Jumanji and doing the comedy stuff as well. But in this role, he's scary, he's threatening, he's sinister, and we haven't seen that side of David Alan Grier. Especially, we're in the mid-90s, we're at the height of David Alan Grier. Mr. Garvey introduced him to the pictures, and he shows him the pictures of what the monster is, and he said he'll handle it. But as Mr. Garvey goes to his car, he just feels something's just off. Walter hears the monster coming to his room, and when the monster's head breaks in, we see the silhouette of this evil-looking monster, what turns out to be, it's Carl. Carl has been abusing Walter, and he's been abusing him and his mama. Carl starts attacking Walter.
Draw a picture of somebody, make them look like a monster? What, you think that shit is funny?
And he starts attacking Sissy, even giving her the E Honda hands. Listen, domestic violence is not a joke. He was open palm hitting her with them E Honda hands. I just had to tell some. It was a joke sitting right there. But domestic violence is not funny. I've been through that before. It's not funny. Back to the review. Carl even starts using a belt on Sissy. I'm like, good Lord. Mr. Garvey sees the ass kicking start outside the window, so he rushes back in the house to try to come save him. Now, here's my thing. Honorable thing to do. When he comes in there and gets his ass kicked, I mean kicked.
Stand up!
It was like, for those wrestling fans out there, remember, it's like Goldberg in 2003 just taking out everybody from the Elimination Chamber. Like, can anybody stop this guy right now? Walter, in desperation, pulls out the picture of the monster and starts to fold it, and then that's when Carl's arm breaks. And he does it with his legs and twists him around, and the animation actually kind of looks really cool. I know it's silly because it's the 90s, but it really looks kind of cool. And meanwhile, Carl's still talking shit.
This shit ain't over yet, bitch.
Since he steps on the paper and burns it, and that's the end of Carl. We see his mangled up, twisted up corpse burned to death in the casket. Walter Stack slams the casket shut and knocks this doll down. It's like a little slave doll that they had. And this story brings up our next story. Story number 3, KKK Comeuppance. We see a politician named Duke Meagher, who is based off the real-life David Duke, former Klans member, and is also played by Sean's daddy from Psych, Corbin Bernstein.
I think as we rolled, I apologized to everybody before each take.
I looked at Darren and Rusty, and they were cracking up behind the camera. They were loving it.
He needs some black folks, so he hires a black campaign manager named Rhodey, who was played by Roger Smith. why Rhodey always gotta be a black man sidekick name for the white man? But Roger Smith is known for his many roles, especially in Spike Lee movies in the early 90s. Even making one of his first debuts in School Days, along with Rusty Cutler.
I want you to take that $5 U.S. currency and go to the pet shop. Get yourself a kitten, put it in a cage, and mark it pussy. Give it to Dean Big Brother Almighty and say...
Now, to keep it all short and sweet, he out there now, because he getting paid $10,000 a week. Damn, 10 grand a week to be the... Wait, no, stop it, fuck that. Don't sell out. They claim that the house is haunted and there's this creepy mural that's plastered right there on the wall of an old lady and a lot of dolls. And the story goes that the old plantation owner, after slaves were free after the Civil War, instead of letting the slaves go free, he lynched all his slaves out there on his lawn on that tree. Years later, the older lady purchased the home and put all the souls of the slaves in these dolls. Well, Duke don't care, and his campaign manager is going to help him learn how to be racist in style.
Well, the only spooks that I'm afraid of are the ones with guns.
Meanwhile, Rhodey takes a Home Alone style fall backwards down some steps, and oh, wait a minute. Oh, shit, he's dead. At the funeral, Duke is there. I mean, he wouldn't be if it was a regular black. It said Rhodey's death was an accident. The pastor of the funeral is played by Rusty Cutler's dad. The one I was telling you about that was the cop. And this big black farmer looking guy, I forgot what his name is, was telling Duke that the doll's gonna get him if he don't listen. And then back in the limo, he sees one of the dolls in the limo, but he's like, how'd I get up in there? Tosses the doll out on the street and drives off. Later on, Duke sees the video and sees that little doll at the bottom was responsible for Rhodey's death. Like he stuck his leg out and roached over his leg. He's Ant-Man, I guess.
You want to grab one with me? I'm Ant-Man.
Wait,
they don't know Ant-Man.
Oh,
Nobody does. Nobody does.
No, he wants you.
Take the goddamn phone.
But when Duke realizes the doll is actually missing from the painting, we get a POV shot of the doll running back to the house, which actually is kind of, with the music and everything, actually made it a little bit creepy, and I like that. There's a knock on the door. Duke answers, but then there's nobody there. But when he closes it, the doll's sitting on the steps. And he gets mad at him and yells no reparations by throwing a vase at him. He takes the American flag and starts beating the old lady in the painting. Painting starts to bleed.
Message!
And then we see the doll swinging from the chandelier, who swings over to Duke and starts gnawing at him. But Duke just overpowers him and takes him outside and blows him away with his shotgun. But Duke then realizes there are more dolls missing from this picture, and his footsteps running around. Y'all can have the house. I hate pride. Y'all can have the house. So he sees more of the dolls, but then the doll that he shot is back in there, and they start chasing. They used to stop motion, and I was like, I like the way he stop motion, and he runs a lot of stuff in the door. But then it's party time because all the dolls are missing from the painting now. And Duke sees that, and they charge him, and then they go and they eat Duke Maker alive. And even the older lady, Miss Cobb, shows up to get a front row seat of this payback, which, by the way, is played by Rusty Cutler's mom. Now, originally, the idea was to have Duke, like, after he sees everything empty at the paintings, that he'll be hanging outside of the lawn by the American flag, like the dolls would have hung. But the studio didn't want that.
But the studio said, nah, people want to see the dolls. Take them out. And we said, yeah, give us the money to do that.
Now, the guys are getting impatient right now because we've been hearing all these stories. They want to know the shit. But then, we got to talk about this last body here. And the last body, they jump back. And clearly, this is a body that they know about.
You knew him?
Sure did.
We didn't know him. He was just, we seen him around.
Story number 4. Hardcore Covert. We're following a game banger named Crazy K. Crazy K is played by Lamont Bentley. Y'all remember Lamont Bentley, who played Hakeem on Moesha. But sadly, in 2005, Lamont Bentley died of a terrible car accident at the age of 31 years old, I believe it was. Now, why does Lamont Bentley as Crazy K got these thick-ass sideburns? I can't tell you that. But he goes and sees another game banger he had beef with, and he goes and kills Lil Deep, who's also played by Ricky Harris. I'm like, damn, we couldn't get Ricky Harris that much in the movie? You see me taking these L's, man. But these boys come out there and they shoot Crazy K, and as they're surrounded over him, the most stealthiest cops in the nation, because I don't know how they did not make a noise coming up like that, go out and kill all the boys, and then Crazy K is saved by the cops. 4 years later, legit 4 years later, Crazy K's behind bars, being selected for an experimental behavior trial by Dr. Crushing, played by Rosalind Cash. Can I take a minute and talk about Rosalind Cash. Rosalind Cash, to me, is somebody who does not get as much credit as she deserves. Or if she does get the most credit, I don't be seeing it, because I think she should be way more mainstream than she is. She was an excellent actress, and I used to watch her a lot, especially in that blaxploitation era, in the movies that she was in. She was just somebody who just exempt beauty. Like, of course we had Pam Grier, and every man wanted Pam Grier, but man, we cannot forget about Rosalind Cash, okay? And when I seen her up in the movie, I was like, man, it touched my heart. And I wanted to make sure I put her on the pedestal, because not a lot of people would. She takes Crazy K to Arkham Asylum, where he's put in the cage next to a real racist guy. I mean, got the tattoos, the Hitler mark, the swastikas, and everything. Guy explains he's been doing the work. You know, it's a more biblical race war that's coming. Appreciates Crazy K for doing his work for him.
Those guys you killed, what color were they?
Message! Dr. Crusher tells K if he adapts well to the program, he can be released from prison. If he does not, he can stay. It doesn't really matter to her. So after a sharp haircut and a COVID test later, tests begin. And we get 2.5 minutes of uncomfortable pictures of dead black people being mutilated by white people. And on the other hand, we get reenactments of gang violence of blacks killing each other. And I mean, it's rough. Even to the point where Dr. Crusher asks, what's wrong, Jerome? Do you not like seeing black people get killed? Well, that's what you've been doing this whole time. We've been killing our own.
But the more important thing to us about that story was just commenting on black violence.
Kay is then sent to a seizure-induced room where he is faced with all the people that he has killed, and a lot of them are his friends.
How come we ain't talked in a long time? That's right. You killed my ass.
Damn, the little girl too? You think Crazy K cares? No, he doesn't care.
I don't give a fuck about any stupid motherfucker.
He is released but threatens to snap one of these women's necks. But the joke's on him because it's all a dream or a premonition. And we are back onto the street where Crazy K is on the ground and the 3 gangbangers are there and they shoot up Crazy K. And that's how the story ends. Now, in my personal opinion, this was the weakest out of the 4. I felt as though that if he had chosen to do the right thing and be held accountable, does he live? Or if it's all a dream, was he just going to die anyway? The way I looked at it when I was younger, especially growing up, I looked at Dr. Crusher as like an angel. To the point where it's like, okay, we here now, but if you can hold accountability for your actions and be sorry for it, I can take you to the kingdom of heaven. You know what I'm saying? And opposed to have your soul be trapped in hell, we can do this. It's kind of like when Jesus was on the cross and he asked both the robbers, you know what I'm saying, do you trust in me? And to be able to, repent your sins. I think it was something like that. But he just wasn't able to do it because he was just surrounded by so much violence. You can't change violence with violence. That's the way I just looked at it. But back at the funeral home, the gangbangers didn't like the story that much because they felt as though they were being set up because they were the ones who killed Crazy K. And I mean, look, watch this in HD. You kind of knew who they were anyway. Back in the day, the old TVs, you couldn't tell. But now, you can tell it was always them. So now they pull out the guns and demand Mr. Sims take them to the shit. Well, now Mr. Sims is getting more ironic and crazier and sweating more, and even turning on the lights by just pointing at them. Like, what drugs? So I mean, like, y'all just want to sell and get some money. Ain't that important? I wouldn't even been down there that far. He takes them to 3 coffins, and he said he put the drugs in each one of these coffins. Nigga, 3 coffins for drugs. Use your brain. When they open the coffins, they see themselves. Stack sees himself. Ball sees himself. Who did the bodies? A-Paul sees himself, but clearly there was a dummy in there, and Samuel Monroe Jr. probably wasn't going to lay in no casket. But it turns out we have one of the most best horror movie twists in this movie, and that is Mr. Sims not a funeral director, and this ain't no funeral home. Take it away, Mr. Sims.
Yes! Ain't no funeral home. Welcome to hell.
Oh, that gets me every single time. They were in hell the whole time, and this devil, and which makes everybody he showed him is in hell with them, and he turns into the actual devil, and it is a great ending to a great cult classic. Tales from the Hood is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and not just for black horror movies, but horror movies of all time. I love the anthology series too, and it was good to see black people do something with horror that we was not able to do like that on that mainstream. Even when it came out on Blu-ray, I made sure I got the Blu-ray for Tales from the Hood. And it still holds up today with the social issues and just but basically the effects that got in there, because Tales from the Hood 2 and 3, I'm just like, how the effects look worse than the one in the 90s? How did you guys feel about Tales from the Hood? Man, post that in the comments down below. Because listen, Halloween's about to come. October's about to come to an end, and we got Halloween to take care of, and we got one more video to talk about. And you know we're gonna have to go there.